Welcome, Patriots, to the Raw feed. We're live coast to coast, streaming to millions on YouTube and broadcasting simultaneously on Rumble and X and Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. Yes, follow us on all platforms because we're here and we're not just reporting the news. We are interacting with you, the viewers, getting your real-time reactions to the day's explosive developments. I'm Gary Franchi. And what sets us apart is we're going to read your comments, your super chats, and your Rumble rants right here on screen for the world to see. So send them in because we are watching. Make sure you download the Next News Network app. It's now in the Android and Google Play Store. Get breaking news alerts, 24/7 exclusive content. Never miss a story that matters. Links down in the description, and share the stream right now. Text it to your friends. Bypass the algorithm. Ex-viewers repost to your followers. They don't want this information spreading, which is exactly why we need you to be the media. You can support the show privately through the donation links in the description. And if you want to show off your favorite news source, check out shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. We got some awesome designs there that will drive the left crazy. Now, some big things are happening in the background as this show is happening. Antifa is actively trying to cancel a local event. I'm supposed to be there at 5:30 Central Time. Now, we did a report on this a couple days ago, actually a couple weeks ago, about this local group that was trying to cancel Stuart Rhodes from speaking. Now, Stuart Rhodes was commuted his sentence by Donald J. Trump for events on January 6th. He never even went to the Capitol. Now, he's supposed to be speaking at this event. Well, guess what they did? Antifa went ahead and shut down that first event. They found a second venue. Boom, that event got shut down as well. They got a third venue just a few hours ago. Boom, that event got shut down as well. So Antifa actively working in the background to shut down free speech, free assembly as we speak. Now, I've given some advice on what direction they should go, what new venues they should locate, and we'll be giving you updates as soon as we can with respect to what is going to happen. So we got a big show. As you know, Antifa has been designated a terrorist group. So maybe Department of Homeland Security needs to step in and shut them down from shutting us down. But on this day in history, September 23rd, 1779, John Paul Jones aboard the USS Bonhomme Richard faced the British warship HMS Serapis. Outgunned and taking massive damage, the British captain asked if Jones was ready to surrender. His response became legend. "I have not yet begun to fight." Against overwhelming odds, Jones captured the Serapis. Now today, 246 years later, Donald Trump channeled that same defiant spirit at the United Nations, refusing to surrender to the globalist machine even as their escalators froze and teleprompters failed. The September sun hasn't even set, but the establishment lies are already crumbling. Google, yes, Google, has just admitted in writing that they censored Americans at Biden's command. They called it unacceptable and wrong, banning voices. That's right, but guess what? Those voices are coming back. I personally reached out to the InfoWars team to ask them what they would be doing, and they informed me that they intend to start a new channel. Well, I did reach out to Google directly to their press office to get a response if they would just go ahead and reinstate Alex's entire library. I have not yet heard back from Google. They didn't respond to my last press inquiry about RFK Jr. and Donald Trump's massive revelations yesterday regarding Tylenol and autism. So we're going to be left in the dark. We're going to have to wait and see, but Alex's team did confirm to me that they are going to be building a new channel. We'll see how that unfolds. Now, of course, the Ministry of Truth is collapsing in real time. So President Trump also dropping the hammer with the executive order designating Antifa as domestic terrorists. It happened yesterday. Now, federal agencies are mobilizing. RICO prosecutions are coming. And guess what? We have the receipts. $80 million from Soros traced directly to terror training camps disguised as nonprofits. You are going to see the paper trail. We have dug it up for you. And at the UN today, reality itself seemed to rebel against the globalist order. The escalator stopped working the moment Trump stepped on it. The teleprompter died when he reached the podium, but Trump didn't need their broken machines. He delivered a speech so devastating, so raw, that diplomats were squirming in their seats as he called their green energy policies a joke and warned Europe that they have been invaded while hiding behind political correctness. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris has emerged from wherever she's been hiding to remind America why she lost in a landslide, serving word salad on The View, calling Trump a communist dictator while her favorability plummets faster than Biden's approval ratings ever did. CNN can't even spin it anymore. So today we're going to expose 4 massive stories that prove the tide has turned. The censorship industrial complex just confessed, the terror funding network now exposed, Trump torching the UN's climate cult, and Kamala's delusions on full display for America to mock. So keep those super chats and rumble rants coming. We are featuring them between segments. This is your show. This is your voice. This is your platform to react to these earth-shaking developments. So let's dive into the biggest revelations so far of 2025 and welcome you to the show. We got star Jeremy Olson, bearded roofer, Ranger Xbox in the house, Sure You Gospel, Chooch McGee in the house, Travis Chaplin, Harold Grant. Everyone is filing in. Make sure you hit that share. Toasted Webs is here. El Jefe is here. Who else? D. Breed, Joyce Decker, Bo Pitbull, Kelly Patriot, Shirley Ingram. The gang is filing in. Make sure you hit share. Make sure you copy the link. Text it out. I say it on every show. It makes a big frickin' difference. Even if Google wants to come back and say, yeah, we're going to stop censoring, we're going to let these people come back, it doesn't change the fact that the algorithms still suppress the content. And that is why you have to be the sword in this battle. I am here giving you the ammunition, and you need to be the one to pull the trigger of truth. And what are the bullets? The links to this show. Fire them out. Brian, let's get into our first topic. They called us conspiracy theorists. They banned our channels. They throttled our reach. They said we were spreading dangerous misinformation. But today, September 23rd, 2025, the truth exploded across Capitol Hill. Google itself, not a whistleblower, not some leaked email. Google put it in writing to Congress that the Biden White House pressured them to censor you. And now they are admitting it. Yes, they said it was, quote, unacceptable and wrong. The biggest tech giant on earth just validated everything we've been screaming into the void for years. But this confession was only the beginning. What they admitted next will shake Silicon Valley to its very core. So keep on watching. But let me ask you something. If you built up $100,000 or more in investments, do you really want all of it riding on the stock market? Think about it. Banks, billionaires, even entire countries loading up on physical gold and silver. Why? Because when markets swing, real assets hold their value. That's why I want to tell you about Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to own investment-grade gold and silver, the same kind big players are buying, and you can actually hold it in your hand or put it safely in your retirement account. You've worked hard to build your wealth. Isn't it time you protected it? Noble Gold is family-owned, trusted by thousands, and ranked #1 in gold IRAs 4 years in a row. Their precious metal specialists are standing by to answer your questions and walk you through every step. Simple, safe, easy. Visit nextnewsgold.com. It's linked below. That's nextnewsgold.com. It's time to protect what you built. Call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347. And when you talk to the guys there, tell them Gary Franchi said hello. This is the big news right now. The big bombshell of the day. Google admitting political censorship on YouTube, promises to embrace free speech. This is huge. Jim Jordan dropping a bombshell thread today. And of course, people are already reacting. Remember when they dropped a like? You couldn't put a thumbs down on the Biden White House because everyone knew that whole administration was a frickin' charade. They stole 2020. We couldn't even talk about it. Remember that? We couldn't talk about COVID. We couldn't talk about the election. We couldn't question any of the orthodoxy from on high. They would terminate you and try to destroy you. And in fact, they tried to do that to this very channel on a number of occasions during COVID. I don't even know how we survived, but what they do, they deleted video after video after video after video. And then this, remember this? They took the thumbs down They took it away from the Biden White House. They took it from everybody because people are going to the Biden White House videos and just demolishing them because everybody knows they are fake. They were fake from the very beginning. Emerald City Journal says they should restore the censor dislike button also. It was removed during the Biden administration to improve their appearance all around censorship by Google and YouTube. They were getting smashed. Remember this? Here is the former CEO of YouTube, who has now passed away, Susan Wojcicki, who said, "We removed over 1 million videos associated with COVID, and we did an event with the Biden administration, including President Biden himself and Fauci." Well, maybe if she would have not deleted all that information, she would have learned something, and she might be here today.
When it comes to vaccines, vaccine hesitancy, videos that cause a public health risk, where do you want to see YouTube do better?
Well, first of all, we've taken responsibility very seriously. It's been one of my top priorities. And with regard to COVID and with regard to vaccines, that has been a top priority for us. And we have a number of different ways that we address that. So first of all, we want to make sure that if there's information that violates our policies, we came up with 10 different policies around COVID. Then if that's a violation of policies, then that's something that we'll remove. We removed over 1 million videos associated with COVID.
Have you talked to the Biden administration at all about vaccine hesitancy or vaccine?
We removed over 1 million videos. Over 1 million videos. Imagine how many lives could have been saved. How many people would still be on this planet today with their family members if that information got out and people could make informed decisions for themselves instead of having to kneel before Dr. Fauci? Oh, we made a mistake. We were sending a letter to Jim Jordan. Don't worry, everyone's going to be allowed to come back. Yeah, everyone who said something naughty, they can come back now. Does that mean Alex Jones can finally come back to YouTube? I did send a message to Google. I asked them. I sent the press office. We are a credentialed member of the White House press corps, after all. No response. Will you reinstate Alex Jones' full back library? What's going to happen? I contacted Alex's team today and I said, what are you guys going to do? I'm going to message Google. I'm going to find out. Rob Dew messaged me back. He says, we are going to go ahead and create a new channel. Let's see how long that lasts. Let's see how long this letter that they sent to Jim Jordan is going to hold. Remember what they did to us? Remember what YouTube did to us? They kneecapped us right before the election. They tried to bankrupt us and destroy us. It took Zach Voorhees, a Google whistleblower, testifying before the Texas Senate Committee on State Affairs to put pressure onto Google so that we could get our monetization back so we could survive. That's what it took. It took state leverage when they sent that letter, that demand letter to Google to find out what happened to this channel. He testified. Remember this?
News ranking. Let's talk about news ranking. News sites that supported Democrats were ranked with the highest quality and trustworthiness. Here's a partial list. Wall Street Journal, 8.53. CBS News, 6.57. CNN, 6.0. Fox News, 5.2. Russia Today, 4.57. The Young Turks, 2.53. Alex Jones Network, negative 1.56. At the bottom of the list is Next News Network at negative 3.35. Let me reiterate, the foreign propaganda outlet Russia Today was scored 7 points higher than the Next News Network, one of the top YouTube news networks in America. Since my disclosure, Next News Network has been permanently demonetized and will soon be bankrupted. These sound more like the actions we'd expect from a Russian propaganda complex. But shockingly, it's the actions of Google.
It's the actions of Zach Voorhees and the Texas Senate that brought us back from the dead when they subpoenaed Google. And of course, separate tracks going on in the background with the House Oversight Committee Jim Jordan working tirelessly. And everyone complains. There's never any accountability. Nothing ever happens in these committees. Well, guess what? Something finally freaking happened, folks. Google admits Biden officials pressed YouTube on censorship. Google revealed in a letter to Congress that Biden administration officials pressured YouTube to remove non-violative COVID-19 and election content. The company called the interference unacceptable and now allows banned creators to apply for reinstatement. Haha, that's fascism. Google admits Google to reinstate YouTube accounts banned for repeated violations of COVID-19 content. Okay, are you going to reinstate all my videos now? All the videos you deleted? The one video that went worldwide and started to turn the tide against Dr. frickin' Fauci? 17 million views. The late Dr. Rashid Buttar on this channel saying Dr. Fauci belongs in prison the month they declared the pandemic. The only news outlet that was brave enough to push back on the narrative when all the other conservative outlets were sitting there giving Dr. Fauci massages in back rooms because they were too afraid to go against the narrative. We pushed back on that, and that video got deleted, but not before it went super mega viral. 17 million views worldwide, translated into dozens of languages, re-uploaded 3,500 times. Oh, yes, and we continued to interview more people, and more people, and more people, and then, like dominoes, boom, delete, boom, delete, boom, delete, boom, delete, one after another. If those videos had stayed online, how many lives would have been saved? Think about that. The blood on their hands. Health Ranger writes, Google, YouTube selective censorship and election interference was treason against America. Their executives should be arrested and prosecuted for treason, not just given a chance to stop committing the treason and get away with everything they've done. Sean Davis, Google owes us all damages for what their censorship cost us. Oh, quick, we're sorry now that we're in trouble isn't going to cut it. Their censorship cost us millions. YouTube confesses Mike Ben's cyber. Google just admitted it bent to Biden's censorship demands, then offered amnesty to banned accounts. But remember, when they can't silence you, online history shows they try with a bullet, and Charlie Kirk paid that price. We'll get to Ben's remarks in a minute. But let's take a look at the thread that was posted by Jim Jordan. Due to our oversight efforts, God bless you, Jim Jordan. Due to our oversight efforts, Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off YouTube due to political speech violations to return to the platform. But that's not all. But wait, there's more. This is the letter from the Google attorney at King and Spalding, delivered September 23rd by electronic mail to the Honorable Jim Jordan. Dear Chairman Jordan, this statement of facts is submitted on behalf of our client Alphabet and its subsidiary YouTube, collectively Alphabet, or the company, in response to subpoenas issued by the House Committee on the Judiciary on February 15th, 2023, and March 6th, 2025. February 13th, 2023. That's how long this battle has been raging. Subpoenas submitted February 15th, 2023. It's a 4-page letter. I'll go ahead and retweet this if you want to read it, but let's dig into the thread. This is Jim Jordan writing, YouTube also admits the Biden administration censorship pressure was unacceptable and wrong. YouTube also confirms that the Biden administration wanted Americans censored for speech that did not violate YouTube's policies. YouTube details when YouTube began rolling back its censorship policies on political speech after Judiciary GOP began its investigation. YouTube states that public debate should never come at the expense of relying on authorities and promises to never use third-party fact-checkers and warns that Europe's censorship laws target American companies and threaten American speech. Jim Jordan says over the past few years, we have uncovered massive scandals relating to big tech censorship. And look at this, July 27th, 2023, quote tweeting himself, revealing the Facebook files. The smoking gun documents prove Facebook censored Americans because of Biden White House pressure. July of 23. 7 hours ago, Jim Jordan also adding to the thread, during the Biden-Harris years under White House pressure, YouTube changed its policy to censor political debate on COVID and elections. Today, YouTube admits the censorship pressure from Biden administration was unacceptable and wrong. Point 10 of the lawyer's letter. It is unacceptable and wrong when any government, including the Biden administration, attempts to dictate how a company moderates content, and the company has consistently fought against those efforts on First Amendment grounds. Jim Jordan continues, now to make amends, the American people, and because of our work, YouTube is rolling back its censorship policies on political speech, including topics such as COVID and elections. You know that after the election, they eventually rolled back the election misinformation just before the 2024 election, just before it, because they knew it was going to come up. They knew that, and it was already past time. Their efforts to suppress any questioning of 2020 would have no effect because Biden was actively installed in the White House. So you could scream into the void all you want about 2020. It would make a lick of difference. They knew that. So they said, fine, you can question the election now. How convenient. We're getting community guideline strikes right after January because of a video that Elijah Schaffer presented on this channel that featured Newt Gingrich questioning the election. We had to scrub all of our election content after they stole it. We had to scrub it all. We were on that case like a fly on shit. We were. Rudy Giuliani, all the committee hearings all across the country. We were tracking it. We were reporting it. We were pushing back. They said you could only question it up until January 20th. That's what they said. But then January 6th happened. They moved the goalposts. January 7th. Nope. You can no longer question the election. Yeah. And we had content that was still up. Boom, strike. Boom, strike. Try living in that world. Oh, man. So what does that mean, Jim Jordan writes? Whether you were an established YouTube presence with a massive following like Dan Bongino or Alex Jones, or just were starting out to express political views there, you will have an opportunity to come back onto the platform. And if you were censored for engaging in political speech, point 23 of the lawyer's letter, the company terminated channels for repeatedly violating its community guidelines on election integrity content through 2023 and COVID-19 content through 2024. Today, YouTube's community guidelines allow for a wider range of content regarding COVID-19 and election integrity. Reflecting the company's commitment to free expression, YouTube will provide an opportunity for all creators to rejoin the platform if the company terminated their channels for repeated violations of COVID-19 and election integrity policies that are no longer in effect. What about the damages to those channels? What about people? YouTube says, come to our platform, build a YouTube channel. You can make money on YouTube. You can become a YouTube partner. And people aspire to that. They build a business, a model around that. An opportunity to have free speech, advertisement selected and placed on your channel, and then boom, policies change and you are nuked. If it wasn't for our own viewers coming to our aid during our time of need, we would not be here today. And by the grace of God Almighty, we would not be here today. This is another victory in the fight against censorship. In August of 2024, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg wrote the committee a letter admitting that Biden pressured Facebook to censor Americans. Facebook censored Americans. Facebook throttled the Hunter Biden laptop story. Yes, they did. And even as Meta admitted the Biden-Harris censorship was wrong, others in big tech were reluctant to go on the record. Now Google is acknowledging for the first time that it too faced censorship pressure from the Biden White House, and that pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Points 8, 9, and 10 of the letter. Point 9 says, as online platforms, including Alphabet, grappled with these decisions, the administration officials, including President Biden, created a political atmosphere that sought to influence the actions of platforms based on their concerns regarding misinformation. And Google, what are you afraid of? You couldn't push back? You couldn't push back and fight for your creators? Instead, you decided to destroy everybody? And bend the knee to a fake administration? Point 10, it's unacceptable and wrong when any government, including the Biden administration, attempts to dictate how the company moderates content, and the company consistently fought against those efforts on the First Amendment ground. Point 8, senior Biden administration officials, including White House officials, conducted, repeated, and sustained outreach to Alphabet and pressed the company regarding certain user-generated content related to COVID-19 pandemic that did not violate its policies. While the company continued to develop and enforce its policies independently, Biden administration officials continued to press the company to remove non-volative user-generated content. But that's not all. Jim Jordan writes, YouTube is making changes to its platform to prevent future censorship. We'll see how long that lasts. They move the goalposts all the time. like people ask me what it's like to be a creator, a reporter, an influencer, whatever you want to call me, on YouTube with millions of followers, what it's like. I say it's like walking through a minefield every day. That's what it's like. Waking up every morning, looking at your phone to see if you have been deleted every single freaking morning. That's what it's like. It's like living in constant state of terror. Why? Because you speak. What they do to Charlie for speaking. Permanent termination. God rest his soul. YouTube now, they write here, Jim Jordan says, YouTube is committing to the American people that will never use outside so-called fact checkers to censor speech. What about in-house fact checkers? You ever see a little label that's underneath a video? You talk about the New World Order. You talk about climate scam. You talk about whatever it is, the moon landing, JFK assassination. Talk about all these things, and you get like a label underneath your video. So this video will likely have a card, I think is what they call it. So you can have accurate information. No more telling Americans what to believe and not to believe. We'll see about that. This is what they wrote in point 21. In contrast to other large platforms, YouTube has not operated a fact-checking program that identifies and compensates fact-checking partners to produce content to support moderation. YouTube is not and will not empower fact-checkers to take action or label content across the company's services. YouTube apparently also going to try out community notes, Jim Jordan writes, noting that Elon Musk was ahead of the curve. Meta following suit, and now YouTube. Well, that's going to be an interesting experiment. Community notes under YouTube videos now? I mean, have you ever seen the community notes on X? Oh, sometimes they're just outrageous. They're just abused. It's abused by people. YouTube also began offering, point 22, YouTube also began offering a feature on YouTube beginning in June of 2024 that allows users to add notes to provide relevant, timely, and understandable context on videos. The pilot is available on mobile in the US and in English, and YouTube continues to collect feedback on the feature. YouTube also features an extensive comment section where viewers could comment and share their views on content posted by creators. That's what the comment section's for. So people can have a conversation about the content. That's what I always say, let's continue the conversation in the comments below. What do you think about this? Let's have dialogue. You want to do community notes now? That'll be abused. Jim Jordan writes, and YouTube confirms Europe is targeting American speech and innovation. Here it admits that European social media laws place a disproportionate regulatory burden on American companies. He continues that YouTube warns that Europe could force companies to remove lawful social media content and could risk freedom of expression within and outside of the EU. He says that's right, Europe wants to censor your online speech, even if you're not in Europe. Jim Jordan says Google and YouTube credit the judiciary GOP for bringing transparency of and accountability for big tech's censorship. We will continue to hold big tech accountable. The entire letter published in this thread. He closes by saying all of the above are massive wins for the American people, the First Amendment and freedom. We won't stop fighting to protect free speech. And of course, everyone commenting underneath, who do I contact? My channel got demonetized in President Trump's speech. Without our commentary is all raw footage of events January 6th. Ulia Scootercaster. They do great work. Brian Rose. Hey, Jim Jordan, thank you for the hard work you've done bringing this issue to light. Our 2.4 million subscriber YouTube channel of 12 years was deplatformed 2 years ago due to COVID-related medical misinformation. How do we get replatformed? Chris Martinson, thank you, Jim Jordan. How can I tell that someone, however, I can tell that as recently as 2 weeks ago, YouTube was still censoring vaccine content and only cover actual science coming out, so Google's not being honest here. Zach Voorhees, the hero of the day for this channel, says, congratulations to all. You deserve it. Making content on a regular schedule is unbelievably hard. Making content with the jackboot of the state resting on your neck is flirting with self-destruction. Today, it appears the jackboot is no more. Zach Voorhees, that's the guy who testified in the Texas Senate. Those clips I played for you at the beginning. Everybody is talking about what's going to happen. What's Mr. Reagan saying here? Now they must end their borderline content policy and other types of algorithmic suppression. This is not over. Alex Jones has 1 billion views on YouTube when they shut down his channel. What legal consequences will Google face? Taylor Hanson, total victory. Restore monetization as well. Myron Gaines, big effing W. YouTube has been censoring us for years while they restore monetization to demonetize creators. Demonetization is a huge form of censorship. Elijah Safer weighing in. Dear Jim Jordan, my YouTube account was demonetized and flagged, shadow banned at 500,000 subs for my honest reporting on January 6th, in which I documented that it appeared to be an inside job. I was working for Blaze TV at the time with an official press license. Luke Rutkowski, YouTube deleted a bunch of my videos anyway. Someone can help get them back. Me too. Guys, this is huge. This is a huge freaking win. Let's listen in real quick here and see the remarks from Mike Benz talking with Jack Posobiec.
In the loss, we got huge news out of YouTube just a few hours ago.
Oh, it's absolutely massive. So there's several things. Google just had its Mark Zuckerberg moment. If folks remember, after the Supreme Court case that Amy Coney Barrett threw out effectively on standing grounds, arguing that effectively that there was insufficient evidence of government coercion of the platforms to censor the specific individuals in the lawsuit because of the thousands of people that the Biden government told to censor. The exact plaintiffs were not named by the Biden administration. The Biden administration simply told them, take down everyone who's a critic of COVID, take down anyone who questions election voting machines, and those people got swept up in it. After that, Mark Zuckerberg wrote this letter in 2024 to Jim Jordan's House Judiciary Committee, confessing and saying, yes, actually, we did do this because of government coercion. We only did this because of government coercion. Jim Jordan, who deserves all the credit in the world for this, by the way, as the head of the weaponization subcommittee in the House Judiciary Committee, has been on big tech companies like white on rice for 3 years now, and these efforts are paying enormous dividends. In what the House Judiciary Committee has been doing has been subpoenaing the tech companies for their version of the Twitter files. We got the Google files, the Facebook files, and the like, and they all showed government coercion on this. And what Google has done is they have confessed, just like Mark Zuckerberg did, to having the terms of service policies they did because of pressure from the Biden government. But then they went a step farther and offered effectively an amnesty, offered a right of return, if you will, to the exiled, banned social media accounts who criticized both COVID vaccines and COVID policies, as well as election denial. This was one of the big ways they completely rigged the 2020 election, is that almost every major right-wing influencer was kicked off of the biggest video platform on planet Earth and the second biggest website on Google on planet Earth. The number one most trafficked is google.com. The number two most trafficked is youtube.com. Both are controlled by Google, and offered them the ability to come back to the platform. And there's lots of reasons, in the background of this. There's obviously the fear of government pressure from any number of U.S. executive branch agencies, as well as legislative pressure. This was the trick that Democrats used to pressure the platforms to do censorship. This was the thing I was calling for in 2018, 2019, 2020, that Republicans need to do as counter pressure for free speech. Those same kind of pressure tactics are very effective because at the end of the day, these corporations have a fiduciary duty to maximize shareholder profits, and the government is the big customer for these companies, especially Google. Google was conceived of initially. It came out of a DARPA grant for a joint CIA-NSA program called the Massive Digital Data Systems Program. This is how Larry Page and Sergey Brin were in position to create Google, because their DARPA grant while they were Stanford PhDs was to create the architecture for Backpage, this predecessor to Google that turned into Google. And then Google became a military contractor the very year they went public. I think it was 2003, 2004, that Google has almost all of its major products and services because of the U.S. government. They only have Google Earth because they bought the CIA's keyhole satellite technology. The list goes on and on and on.
And Mike, just in the last minute that we have, I want to point out that one of the high-profile conservatives that we know faced this kind of government censorship was none other than Charlie Kirk himself. And you saw these increasing levels of censorship, and you've said, and I've said in the past, that as censorship increases, the ultimate form of censorship becomes censorship with a bullet. And that's exactly what happened with Charlie.
Yep. And this is going to be with us for eternity. The fact is every great movement ultimately faces the day when one of its leaders faces that bullet. That is the telltale sign that they have no other way to stop you. And they did that to Charlie in his prime, and not even in his prime. I mean, Charlie was absolutely going to be a U.S. president one day, if not in the next 5 years, in the next 10, 20, 30, 40. I mean, Trump didn't become president until his 70s. This is and they cut him down with a bullet, as you said. And a lot of this was also because when people get to live in a bubble and all you hear is someone's fascist, someone's a Nazi, YouTube is bigger than TV. It's bigger than Netflix. It is the video content par excellence. We've built alternative institutions through places like Rumble, through X Video and the like. But the fact is, Google and Google monetization is where the big bucks are made for everyday content creators, apolitical ones.
Exactly right. Mike Benz.
If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is the watershed moment that we have been waiting for. Google just handed us the smoking gun. They admitted the Biden administration weaponized them against you, against your voice, against your right to question, to doubt, and to speak truth. For years, they gaslit us. They called us crazy, destroyed channels, ruined livelihoods. Today, they confessed it was all true. But here's what matters. They're only admitting it because Jim Jordan and House Republicans forced their hand. Without that pressure, they'd still be silencing you right now. This proves only one thing. When we fight back, when we demand accountability, when we refuse to shut up, even the biggest tech monopoly on earth has to bend the knee. So here's my question. Should executives who participated in this censorship conspiracy, should they face criminal charges and pay damages to creators? Or is that on the U.S. government side? Drop a yes or a no. Let's have a conversation in the comments. And while you're fired up, check out our merch shop. It's linked below. It's one of the ways you can keep us running even when they try to silence us. Good God Almighty. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. So, big news today. We are not done. We have more news. Don't go anywhere. We are going to chase that paper trail that George Soros left behind in the wake of Antifa being designated an official terrorist group. This is huge, folks. Get rid of the monopoly, says Joshua. Glad you're still here, says Manny. Google should pay. All they had to do was say no. Sue says, I find Rumble even more annoying. I've tried. Yeah, we tried to. They were not very friendly to us. Okay, let's get to our next topic here. For years, they operated in shadows, black masks, burning cities, coordinated violence. We knew someone was paying for it. The buses didn't rent themselves. The weapons didn't appear from thin air. But every time we asked who was writing the checks, they called us conspiracy theorists. Well, today, President Trump officially signed an executive order that changes everything. Antifa is now officially designated a terrorist organization. That's not even the biggest news. Investigators just traced $80 million from one source straight into the terror pipeline. The money trail is now officially exposed. Oh, yes. This video and the report that we have uncovered is going to serve as the blueprint for the RICO charges. The names are documented, and Stephen Miller promised they're coming after every last one of them. So don't go anywhere. Now, let me ask you something. If you built up $100,000 or more in investments, do you really want it all riding on the stock market? Think about it. Banks, billionaires, even entire countries loading up on physical gold and silver. Why? Because when markets swing, real assets hold their value. That's why I want to tell you about Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to own investment-grade gold and silver, the same kind the big players are buying, and you can actually hold it in your hand or put it safely in your retirement account. You've worked hard to build your wealth. Isn't it time you protected it? Noble Gold is family-owned, trusted by thousands, and ranked number one in gold IRAs 4 years in a row. Their precious metal specialists are standing by to answer your questions, to walk you through every step. Simple, safe, easy. Visit nextnewsgold.com today. That's nextnewsgold.com. It's time to protect what you have built. It's linked down below or the number on the screen, 877-646-5347. Give them a call. Tell them Gary Franchi sent you. So yesterday we reported on the executive order President Trump signed, Antifa designated as a terrorist organization. It's time to arrest their leaders, says Liz Churchill. George and Alex Soros. So the question is, where's the money coming from? We've uncovered the paper trail. Stephen Miller says we will dismantle Antifa. This is not fringe anymore. Tape after tape. Federal workers, bureaucrats, educators, professors, nurses, people celebrating and cheering the assassination of Charlie Kirk. There is a domestic terrorist movement growing in the country.
Someone to where the left calls people enemies of the republic, calls them fascists, says they're Nazis, says they're evil, says they have to be removed, and then prints their addresses. What do you think they're trying to do? They are trying to inspire someone to murder them. That is their objective. That is their intent. And when you see online, Sean, as we've seen for the last few days, tape after tape after tape of federal workers, bureaucrats, staffers in the Pentagon, educators, professors, healthcare workers, nurses, celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. These are radicalized people. There is a domestic terrorism movement in this country. And let me tell you something I've not shared with anybody, but the last message that Charlie Kirk gave to me before he joined his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence. That was the last message that he sent me before that assassin stole him from all of us. And we are going to do that under President Trump's leadership. I don't care how. It could be a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, conspiracy against the United States, insurrection, but we are going to do what it takes to dismantle the organizations and the entities that are fomenting riots, that are doxing, that are trying to inspire terrorism, and that are committing acts of wanton violence. It has to stop. And my message is to all of the domestic terrorists in this country spreading this evil hate, you want us to live in fear? We will not live in fear, but you will live in exile. Where the left...
Stephen Miller on fire. This was September 15th. Stephen Miller on the left-wing NGOs that organize violence in this country. He says somebody's paying for all of this. This is in the Oval Office with President Trump.
Yes, so I believe what you're referring to is there are these nonprofit entities that organize, as the president mentioned, attacks on ICE officers, attacks on Border Patrol agents, organized doxing campaigns, which are a violation of federal law. They break off cement and they bring into riots. They have organized drop points for weapons, organized drop points for gas masks, organized drop points for all the materials necessary to launch a riot. Of course, you saw that during the Black Lives Matter riots as well, too. So there's this whole network of organizations. And I think the key point the president's been making is somebody is paying for all of this. This is not happening for free. And so under the president's direction, the attorney general is going to find out who is paying for it, and they will now be criminally liable for paying for violence.
So who is paying for it? Oh, we've found out. Stephen Miller says the Democrat Party is an institution at every level. Its judges, lawyers, community activists, and politicians exist to serve these criminal thugs. It's a simple choice. You either side with civilization or with anarchy and violence. Stephen Miller with J.D. Vance during the Charlie Kirk show vows to destroy left-wing terror groups. So where's the money coming from? Shall we? Shall we dive into this? Are you ready? Trump has officially designated Antifa a domestic terrorist organization, and now Soros' $80 million empire funding terror groups is in the crosshairs. The RICO charges are coming. Let's dive in to the bombshell findings. Section 1 of Trump's order is clear. Antifa is a militarist, anarchist enterprise plotting to the overthrow of the U.S. government, coordinated riots, doxing, ICE attacks. This is not activism. It is domestic terrorism, and Soros is bankrolling their partners. Here is the executive order that was signed by President Trump on your screen. Section 1 and Section 2. We're going to dive deeper. Now, this is what I found. Thanks to the Media Research Center, who first brought my attention to this, I dug deeper, found the actual report, broke it down into pieces so that you can understand it. The Capital Research Center, their new report reveals Soros Open Society foundations have funneled over $80 million since 2016 into groups that train militants, glorify Hamas's October 7th massacre, and sponsor domestic sabotage. This is page 1 of the exclusive Soros Open Society gave terrorist and pro-terrorist groups over $80 million by Ryan Morrow, investigative reporter for Capital Research Center. Category 1 of the report, $23 million to U.S. groups that literally meet the FBI's definition of domestic terrorists. These are not nonprofits. These are insurrection training camps. Now, this investigation separates Open Society's finding of extremist groups into 3 categories. Guarantees that directly assist domestic terrorism and criminality on U.S. soil. Open Society awarded at least $23 million to 7 groups that engage in or materially assist violence, property destruction, economic sabotage, harassment, and other criminality that meets the FBI's definition. Guarantees that have endorsed terrorist attacks like those on October 7th, 2023, and or are directly linked to foreign terrorist groups and or their known front groups. Open Society has provided at least $50 million to 41 such groups. Unlike groups in the first category, these organizations do not openly encourage crimes to be committed in America. Point 3. Guarantees that qualify as associates of terrorist groups or pro-terrorism groups. Open Society has provided at least $9 million to 5 such nonprofits. These groups do not openly support terrorism and may condemn attacks like those on October 7th, but they continue to provide significant material assistance to pro-terrorism or terrorism-linked groups or activists. Here's an example. The Center for Third World Organizing, funded by Soros, bragged about throwing down during the 2020 riots. Their partner, the Ruckus Society, trained activists in property destruction and sabotage, direct lines to Antifa tactics. Soros also bankrolled the Sunrise Movement, which endorsed Stop Cop City. Remember that? The Antifa-linked anarchists in Atlanta, facing 40-plus domestic terrorism charges and 60 racketeering indictments. These are Trump's new RICO targets. Stop Cop City terrorists attacked cops with Molotovs, fireworks, and lasers, torched equipment, and even mocked 9/11 with a toilet memorial. And Soros money was there via Sunrise and their bail fund. Category 2, Soros gave $50.5 million to groups tied to foreign terrorists like Hamas and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Yes, U.S. tax-exempt funds flowing to entities now sanctioned by the State Department. Now sanctioned. Case in point, Soros spent $2.3 million to Al-Haq a PFLP front group just sanctioned by the U.S. in September of 2025 for aiding the ICC's illegitimate targeting of Israel. Soros dollars are now officially tied to a U.S.-designated terror front. Category 3, another $9.3 million went to associates of terrorist groups, entities that may pretend to condemn Hamas but still funnel material support, training, and propaganda to terror-linked activists. Category 3. The Movement for Black Lives, a Soros darling, received $18 million, co-authored a toolkit glorifying Hamas October 7 paragliders, complete with guides on false IDs, blockades, and economic disruption. Here are the receipts, folks. $18 million to Movement for Black Lives, right there on your screen. I never heard about this one, did you? Dream Defenders? They got $1.85 million from Soros. Co-authored the same Hamas glorifying toolkit. Their guide literally showcases an image of a paraglider committing the October 7th massacre with the slogan, Black Liberation for Palestinian Freedom. Oh, go find, you want to read this in detail? Here are the receipts. It's all in the thread. If you're following us on X, you've already seen this. The receipts are right there. Another Soros guarantee, Grassroots Global Justice Alliance, which openly endorsed the October 7th Hamas attacks they call the U.S. Turtle Island and demand the abolition of America itself, and Soros gave them $150,000. Fiscal sponsors were used to launder the money. Groups like the Tides Foundation, Neo Philanthropy, and Common Council acted as financial umbrellas, shielding Soros-backed extremists from scrutiny. Classic dark money deception. Fiscal sponsors shielding pro-terrorism groups. These 11 groups have acted in this capacity for Open Society Foundation pro-terrorism guarantees at least once since 2016. Allied Media Project, Center for Third World Organizing, Citizen Engagement Lab Education Fund, Common Council Foundation, Empowerment Works, Highlander Research and Education Center, Neo Philanthropy. And you can see the subgroups underneath. These fiscal sponsors let unregistered groups avoid IRS scrutiny, keeping leadership revenue and spending secret. Translation, Soros built a financial pipeline for terrorism under the cover of charity law. Fiscal sponsors shielding pro-terrorism groups. Trump's Executive Order Section 2 empowers agencies to investigate, disrupt, and dismantle any illegal operations involving Antifa and those who fund it. That includes Soros-backed fronts. My friends, the fuse has officially been lit. The report notes that under IRS law, nonprofits engaged in criminal activity lose tax-exempt status. Soros guarantees openly admit to planning crimes like sabotage, blockades, and assaults. They should have been stripped years ago. But there's a new sheriff in town, folks. This is not philanthropy, it's complicity. Soros has built a shadow empire funding groups that destabilize the U.S., fuel riots, glorify foreign terrorists, and funnel millions to sanctioned entities. Trump has promised RICO charges for George Soros, and with this report in hand, federal investigators now have the blueprint. $80 million in material support for terrorism laundered through nonprofits. Imagine the optics. Soros hauled into court under RICO. His guarantees losing tax-exempt status, his fiscal sponsors dragged before Congress, the house of cards collapses. For decades, Soros operated in the shadows, hiding behind his open society branding. And now the mask is off. His empire is a funding arm for terror, foreign and domestic. This is not partisan rhetoric. It's documented fact from Soros' own selectively published grant list, combined with open source evidence of guarantees praising, aiding, and abetting terrorists. And these are not fringe organizations. They're entrenched in universities, protest movements, and progressive coalitions across America. Soros money radicalized an entire generation. Look at the money trail. Look at the money trail. 300,000, 150,000, 430,000, 600,000, 500,000, 300,000, 25,000, 370,000. All going to these groups. Trump's Antifa designation is the first domino, with RICO investigators can trace the money, subpoena the sponsors, dismantle the Soros network piece by piece. The walls are closing in. The storm has arrived. Trump designates Antifa a domestic terror group. Soros exposed for $80 million in terror funding. RICO is next. America is finally fighting back. Follow us for the updates. The party is over, George. It is over. General Flynn revealed that George Soros allegedly funneled $2.5 billion into the 2020 election via a network of NGOs and for-profit organizations circumventing election laws, emphasizing $1 from a foreign nation is a felony.
Departments like the department, again, you're like the expert on it, but Arabella Advisors created a structure of NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and for-profit organizations, and they built it so seamless, and they used organizations like USAID. They use departments like the Department of State underneath the Obama administration and clearly underneath the Biden administration. But even during the Trump administration, while Trump was getting beat up about Russiagate, he was depending on people around him to like, hey, do your job, right? I can tell you the State Department under guys like Mike Pompeo did nothing. So right. He was also the CIA director for a year. So I just throw that bombshell out there. But what we're talking about is Soros is trying to globalize the world. Soros, in this briefing that I gave to President Trump a couple of years ago, we were able to prove how Soros, through this structured organization, spent $2.5 billion on our 2020 election. Okay, on our 2020 election. And I'll talk about that here in 1 second. So we actually were able to prove the flow, the flow of money. Now, what they do is they do it through, again, this sort of seamless, operation where it looks like the money's coming from U.S. entities. Right. Because I just said $2.5 billion. $1 that comes from a foreign nation, right? $1 that comes from a foreign nation is a felony. $1. All right. So we're talking about $2.5 billion that George Soros basically orchestrated to come into the 2020 election. Again, you're like the.
So it's all coming down, folks. Here's what Stephen Miller said at Charlie Kirk's memorial.
City raised up. Erica stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of warriors, of women who raised up families, raised up city, raised up industry, raised up civilization, who pulled us out of the caves and the darkness into the light. The light will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy.
If If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is what should terrify every American. See, they've been doing this for years. $80 million funneled through charitable foundations into terror training camps. While you were working, paying taxes, and following the law, Soros was bankrolling groups that taught militants how to firebomb police stations and overthrow the government. The Capital Research Center mapped every penny. Tides Foundation, Neo-Philanthropy. They laundered terror money through nonprofit umbrellas. Now Trump's executive order unleashes RICO prosecutions on the entire network. Stephen Miller warned them at Charlie Kirk's memorial. You cannot imagine what you have awakened. The days of operating in the shadows are over. The money trail is exposed, the fiscal sponsors are named, and the federal hammer is about to drop. So here is my question. Should George Soros face RICO charges for funding domestic terrorism? Yes or no? Hit the comments and grab your American badass gear from our merch shop and let them know whose side you are on. No super chats to acknowledge at this point. Let's keep moving right along, because Donald Trump was on fire today at the United Nations. We have got all the highlights for you, and they are glorious. President Trump in New York for that meeting. Let's get into it, Brian. Picture this. Donald Trump walks into the United Nations building. The escalator beneath his feet grinds to a halt. He gets to the podium. The teleprompter goes black. Now, any leader would panic. Not Trump. He laughed, shrugged it off, and proceeded to deliver a speech so brutal and so devastating that diplomats were shifting in their seats like school children caught cheating. He called their climate predictions stupid. He said renewables are a joke. He accused the UN of funding invasions instead of stopping them. And that was just the warm-up. What he said next about Europe's migration crisis left the entire assembly speechless. Don't move a muscle. We've got all the highlights for you. Now, let me ask you something. If you've built up $100,000 or more in investments, do you really want it all riding on the stock market? Think about it. Banks, billionaires, even entire countries loading up on physical gold and silver. Why? Because when markets swing, real assets hold their value. That's why I want to tell you about Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to own investment-grade gold and silver, the same kind the big players are buying. And you can actually hold it in your hand or put it safely in your retirement account. You've worked hard to build your wealth. Isn't it time you protected it? Noble Gold is family-owned, trusted by thousands, and ranked #1 in gold IRAs 4 years in a row. Their precious metal specialists are standing by to answer your questions and walk you through every step. Simple, safe, easy. Visit nextnewsgold.com today. That's nextnewsgold.com. It's time to protect what you have built. And when you call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347, tell them that Gary Franchi sent you. Geiger Capital posting this. This is insane. As Trump arrived at the UN, the escalator stopped working the moment he stepped on it. Then the teleprompter stopped the moment he got up to the podium to speak. Watch the moment. President Trump going on the escalator. And it stops. Look at that. It breaks. How much money do we give the UN? How much money do we give them? They can't get an escalator to work? Here's the moment the teleprompter broke.
Very much appreciated. And I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter, because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble. Very much appreciated.
I was hoping to say you're fired, but, we'll get to Kamala Harris in a second. Here's President Trump just destroying the green energy policies.
Is like the primary effect of these brutal green energy policies has not been to help the environment, but to redistribute manufacturing and industrial activity from developed countries that follow the insane rules that are put down to polluting countries that break the rules and are making a fortune. They're making a fortune. European electricity bills are now 4 to 5 times more expensive than those in China, and 2 to 3 times higher than the United States. And our bills are coming way down. You probably see that our gasoline prices are way down. We have an expression, drill, baby, drill, and that's what we're doing. We're going to be much lower in a year from now. But they've come way down over the last year. As a result, every air conditioner is very uncommon to see one in some of these countries because the electric costs are so high. So while the U.S. has approximately 1,300 heat-related deaths annually, it's a lot, Europe loses more than 175,000 people to heat deaths each year because the costs are so expensive you can't turn on an air conditioner. What is that all about? That's not Europe. That's not the Europe that I love and know. All in the name of pretending to stop the global warming hoax.
And then people die as a result of it. Here's President Trump warning world leaders.
Things, if you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, They actually said during the campaign they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. And I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail. And if you don't stop people that you've never seen before, that you have nothing in common with, your country is going to fail. If you don't get away from this green...
Your country is going to fail. Here he blasts renewables.
The falsely named energy is another area where the United States is now thriving like never before. We're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. They're too expensive. They're not strong enough to fire up the plants that you need to make your country great. The wind doesn't blow. Those big windmills are so pathetic and so bad, so expensive to operate. And they have to be rebuilt all the time, and they start to rust and rot. Most expensive energy ever conceived, and it's actually energy. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. You lose money, the governments have to subsidize. You can't put them out without massive subsidies. And most of them are built in China, and I give China a lot of credit. They build them, but they have very few wind farms. So why is it that they build them and they send them all over the world, but they barely use them? You know what they use? Coal. They use gas. They use almost anything, but they don't like wind. But they sure as hell like selling the windmills. Europe, on the other hand, is a long way to go, with many countries being on the brink of destruction because of the green energy agenda. And I give a lot of credit to Germany. Germany was being led down a very sick path, both on immigration, by the way, and on energy. They were going green, and they were going bankrupt. And the new leadership came in, and they went back to where they were with fossil fuel and with nuclear, which is good. It's now safe, and you can do it properly. But they went back to where they were, and they opened up a lot of different plants, energy-producing plants, and they're doing well. I give Germany a lot of credit for that. They've said this is a disaster, what's happening. They were going all green. All green is all bankrupt. That's what it represents. And it's not politically correct. I'll be very badly criticized for saying it, but I'm here to tell the truth. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Energy is...
I'm here to tell the truth. Oh, yeah. Oh, here he goes after the terrorists.
As far as to protect our citizens, I've also designated multiple savage drug cartels as far as to... And you see this, and you see it happening right before your eyes. Let's put it this way. People don't like taking big loads of drugs in boats anymore. There aren't too many boats that are traveling on the seas by Venezuela. They tend not to want to travel very quickly anymore. And we've virtually stopped drugs coming into our country by sea. We call them the water drugs. They kill hundreds of thousands of people. I've also designated multiple savage drug cartels as far as foreign terrorist organizations, along with two bloodthirsty transnational gangs, probably the worst gangs anywhere in the world, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua is from Venezuela, by the way. Such organizations torture, maim, mutilate, and murder with impunity. They're the enemies of all humanity. For this reason, we've recently begun using the supreme power of the United States military to destroy Venezuelan terrorists and trafficking networks led by Nicolas Maduro. To every terrorist thug smuggling poisonous drugs into the United States of America, please be warned that we will blow you out of existence. That's what we're doing. We have no choice. Can't let it happen. They're destroying. I believe we lost 300,000 people last year to drugs, 300,000. Fentanyl and other drugs. Each boat that we sink carries drugs that would kill more than 25,000 Americans. We will not let that happen. To protect our...
They're going to blow them out of the water. We've already shown you two of them. Two declassified videos recently. Here he talks about detaining and deporting.
And deporting everyone. In America, we've taken bold action to swiftly shut down uncontrolled migration. Once we started detaining and deporting everyone who crossed the border and removing illegal aliens from the United States, they simply stopped coming. They're not coming anymore. We're getting a lot of credit, but they're not coming anymore. This was a humanitarian act for all involved, because on the trips up, thousands of people a week were dying. Women were being raped. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Raped, horribly beaten, raped. On the trip up, the journey up, it was a long walk. It was a long, arduous journey, indeed. And it was also a historic victory against human trafficking throughout the region. What we did was a victory, and we saved so many lives of people that wouldn't make the journey. That journey was loaded up with death. Loaded up with death. Dead bodies all along the roads of jungles to get up. They go through jungles, they go through areas so hot you couldn't breathe. They were dying of suffocation, areas so hot that you couldn't breathe. Dead bodies all over. By them not coming, we're saving tremendous numbers of lives. My people have done a fantastic job in doing what they did, and the American public agrees with it. I mean, I was very proud to see this morning I have the highest poll numbers I've ever had. Part of it is because of what we've done on the border. I guess the other part is what we've done on the economy. Joe Biden's policies empowered murderous gangs, human smugglers, child traffickers, drug cartels, and prisoners from all over the world. The previous administration also lost nearly 300,000 children. Think of that. They lost more than 300,000 children, little children, who were trafficked into the United States on the Biden watch, many of whom have been raped, exploited, and abused, and sold. Sold. Nobody talks about that. The fake news doesn't write about it. With many others, young children who are missing or dead. And we found a lot of these children, and we're sending them back, and we've been sending them back to their parents. They said, nobody knows who they are. They said, where do you come from? And they'll give us a country, and we'll find out, and we'll figure it out, and we'll bring them back to their homes.
President Trump finding the children, dismantling the networks. Here he says that Europe is in serious trouble.
Europe is in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe. Nobody's doing anything to change it, to get them out. It's not sustainable. And because they choose to be politically correct, they're doing just absolutely nothing about it. And I have to say, I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. Europe is in
unsustainable migration destroying Europe. Not only here he is about the UN not solving problems.
For us to solve. Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, and then we have to get them out. The UN also provided food, shelter, transportation, and debit cards to illegal aliens. Can you believe that? On the way to infiltrate our southern border. Millions of people came through that southern border. Just a year ago, millions and millions of people were pouring in, 25 million altogether over the 4 years of the incompetent Biden administration. And now we have it stopped, totally stopped. In fact, they're not even coming anymore because they know they can't get through. But what took place is totally unacceptable. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them, and not finance them. Not only is
financing invasions. Kamala Harris decided to go on The View, serving up a word salad while attacking President Trump's UN address.
It's about, I don't know, this person and what we just saw in terms of a presentation at the United Nations. I talk about it. I talked about, remember in the debate?
Yeah.
They laughed at him the last time he was in front of the UN.
Yeah, this time
you remember just about, I don't know, several weeks ago, that meeting with Xi and Kim Jong-un and Putin? Yeah. You think they're not laughing?
Oh, they are.
As they create a new axis of partnership, what's happening? You bring people into the Oval Office. I have spent a lot of time in the Oval Office. I have spent time in the Oval Office with the president, receiving our allies and our friends from around the world. And consistently, we have seen Donald Trump bring people into the Oval Office, be they a United States governor or the head of a state of a friendly nation, and embarrass them and ridicule and demean them. That is not what a president does. This individual who occupies our White House right now,
the People's House,
has decided that he will be an emperor in his mind who will demonstrate his power by demeaning and belittling and making people feel small. But this is this person.
No, that's not what he does. He exerts leadership, something that you will never have, Kamala, and we saw it on display at the United Nations. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Now, Donald Trump just told the truth. No diplomat has dared speak in that building for decades. Europe's prisons are 72% foreign nationals in Switzerland, 50% in Germany. Their streets are war zones. Their leaders paralyzed by political correctness while their nations collapse. And the UN, they're not stopping it. They're funding it. Trump called them out directly. You write strongly worded letters, then do nothing. Empty words don't stop invasions. Action does. But here's the kicker. Even with their machines breaking down around him, Trump delivered the most powerful UN speech in history. He warned them their green energy scam will destroy nations. He demanded they stop funding border invasions. He called for ending biological weapons development. The establishment wanted him silenced. Instead, he dominated. So here's my question. Should the U.S. completely defund the United Nations? Yes or no? Sound off below. Show your American pride with our merch at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, no super chats to speak of at the moment. But we do have to get into an uncomfortable topic. Yeah. Let's find out what's going on here. Kamala Harris is back. That's right, baby. She's trying to sell a book. She's back. After months of hiding, Kamala Harris crawled out to promote her book and rewrite history. And get this, she actually claims that 2024 was the closest presidential race of the century. The woman who lost 312 to 226 in the Electoral College thinks it was close. But that's not even the most delusional part. While Trump stood at the UN commanding world leaders, Kamala went on The View and called him a communist dictator. The same president who ended 7 wars in 7 months. Even CNN can't spin her tanking poll numbers anymore. What she said next proves she learned absolutely nothing from her crushing defeat, so you need to hear this. Now, let me ask you something. If you built up $100,000 or more in investments, do you really want it all riding on the stock market? Think about it. Banks, billionaires, even entire countries loading up on physical gold and silver. Why? Because when markets swing, real assets hold their value. That's why I want to tell you about Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to own investment-grade gold and silver, the same kind big players are buying. And you can actually hold it in your hand, put it safely in your retirement account. You've worked hard to build your wealth. Isn't it time you protected it? Noble Gold is family-owned, trusted by thousands, and ranked number one in gold IRAs 4 years in a row. Their precious metal specialists are standing by to answer your questions and walk you through every step. Simple, safe, and easy. Visit nextnewsgold.com today. That's nextnewsgold.com. It's time to protect what you have built. Or call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347. So Kamala Harris is back on the scene. She's trying to sell a book, trying to maintain some level of relevance. And of course, the first stop she goes is on The View. Now, we haven't had any View clips here in a while, so this is a good time to bring them out for you. Colin Rugg posted this a couple hours ago. Kamala Harris appears to think she almost beat President Trump in 2024. Says it was the closest presidential race in history. And as you heard me say, Harris lost the Electoral College by 312 to 226. Lost the popular vote by over 2 million votes.
For president,
If you have to pin it down to one thing, what was the primary reason, do you think, that you lost?
there are many factors, I think, that played into the outcome of that election. But I think probably one of the biggest in my mind is we just didn't have enough time.
You didn't have enough
time. We didn't have enough time.
Oh, yeah. Well, you didn't.
And, one of the reasons I wrote the book is this is unprecedented. Think about this.
Yeah.
That there's a race for president of the United States. The current sitting president is running for re-election. 3.5 months from the election, he decides not to run. The sitting vice president then takes the mantle.
They ousted Biden. They gave him the boot. Okay, this whole thing was manufactured.
Against a former president of the United States who had been running for 10 years with 107 days until the election. And by the way, another piece of what is unprecedented and a bit historical.
And that's why they should have just left Biden in. They should have left him in. But they knew he wouldn't last. I mean, look now, Biden has cancer. He still can't even navigate a stage. Biden is complete disaster.
About that race. It is the closest presidential race in the 21st century in terms of the outcome.
Wow.
The closest.
You know, say that again, because he likes to say over and over again he's got a mandate.
And that's part of why I wrote this book, because history will talk about this race.
Oh, yes, it will.
It is part of American history. And it was important to me that when history is written, that my voice be present about what that experience is.
If you have to...
I hate to break it to you, Kamala, but you are going to be erased from history. See, the history books are going to relegate you to a footnote. Here she is attacking Trump's UN address.
But remember in the debate, this person and what we just saw in terms of a presentation at the United Nations, I talk about it. I talked about, remember in the debate, they laughed at him the last time he was in front of the UN.
This time
you remember just about, I don't know, several weeks ago, that meeting with Xi and Kim Jong-un and Putin? You think they're not laughing?
Oh, they are.
As they create a new axis of partnership, what's happening? You bring people into the Oval Office. I have spent a lot of time in the Oval Office. I have spent time in the Oval Office with the president, receiving our allies and our friends from around the world. And consistently, we have seen Donald Trump bring people into the Oval Office, be they a United States governor or the head of a state of a friendly nation, and embarrass them and ridicule and demean them. That is not what a president does. This individual who occupies our White House right now.
The People's House.
The People's House. I love how they whisper in the background. It's the People's House. Please spare me.
Has decided that he will be an emperor in his mind who will demonstrate his power by demeaning and belittling and making people feel small. But this is...
No, President Trump is a leader, and that's something you'll never be, Kamala. Something you will never be. Here she is on MSNBC promoting her book. And she says Trump is a communist dictator.
And a tyrant. We used to compare the strength of our democracy to communist dictators. That's what we're dealing with right now in Donald Trump. And these titans of industry are not speaking up. A tyrant. We used to compare the strength of our democracy to communist dictators. That's what we're dealing with right now in Donald Trump.
Unbelievable, man. CNN, though, reports that Kamala Harris' favorability rating has plunged since the election.
Favorable ratings. I would just say that if you want a messenger to go against Donald Trump, you can do far better as Democrats than Kamala Harris. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at her net favorable ratings nationwide. You know, back in October of 2024, she was at -5 points. Not exactly great, but pretty close to the zero mark, right? Pretty close to even. But now, down under she goes. She's at -13 points. That's an 8-point drop. Since the general election among the overall electorate, she is not well liked at this particular point. The American people, they don't want this. They don't want her. And get this, she's 37 points underwater with independents. If you can't win independents, you can't win the election. And the bottom line is, with those in the center of the electorate, those who are the most up for grabs, she is way underwater. She is definitely swimming with the fishes.
So she's swimming with the fishes. Megyn Kelly says she's not even trying to sell her book anymore. Mark Halperin on Kamala Harris back, rambling about joy and getting slammed by Democrats as she starts her book tour.
But in retrospect, it was really recklessness to allow him to make the decision. It shouldn't have been a personal call. Maddow's trying to say, okay, so this is why, you didn't actually raise this with him, but you would have liked to. And here is how that answer went. Satya.
You said to President Biden that you did not think he should run again.
Yeah, or even that he should question whether it's a good idea. But I think that, one of the reasons I wrote this book, Rachel, is there are actually a number of reasons. One is that it is unprecedented, right? To your point of what you said in your opening, we had a president of the United States.
That's exactly what she said on The View. Funny how she's got her talking points perfectly rehearsed.
Running for re-election, 3.5 months from the election, decides not to run. The sitting vice president enters the race against a former president of the United States who's been running for 10 years with 107 days to go. And it ended up being the closest presidential election in the 21st century. And there was so much about those 107 days that, for me, and this is really a behind-the-scenes look at those 107 days, was about seeing people who seemingly had nothing in common coming together by the thousands.
Oh, my God.
With a level of optimism and, dare I say, joy about the possibilities for America. And I hope to remind people about that light that people brought to it, and to remind people that that light is still there. And we can't let that be extinguished by an election or the individual who's in the office right now.
This the light of mine. I'm going to let it shine. I'm not going to let the dictator blow out this light of mine. Please.
Still got it. No one's better at the word salad.
Please, I would like a light vinaigrette. I watched the interviews knowing I was coming on to talk to you, and it wasn't difficult for me to anticipate which sound bites you would pick. And her failure to stand up to the parts of the book that actually were honest or provocative, and to just go with, as you said, just a bunch of filler. Yes. It's like whatever the opposite of book selling 101 is. That's what this is. She's like, she's not even trying to sell the book anymore. She's trying to go back to as if she was just a candidate and just run out the clock with word salad.
That's so well.
Run out the clock. I guess we've got a page here from the book. Kamala Harris opening quotes to her book, 107 Days. The amount of energy necessary to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than to produce it. Alberto Brandolini. The next quote, I got loyalty inside my DNA. I was born like this. Kendrick Lamar. Give me a break. Give me a break. Stephen Smith going scorched earth on Kamala Harris over her new book. Who cares what she has to say, he says.
You wanted to show who cares what she has to say at this particular moment in time. I hope the book is successful. When you had an opportunity as the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States of America to address so many different issues, and instead what you did was go into protective mode. You wanted to show your loyalty or what have you, and then you lose the election. And what you want to do is point out all the reasons that you didn't win and point the finger of blame, it seems, in everybody else's direction instead of yourself. I don't think that she's going to have any support from the Democratic Party. I can tell you that much. And then you have to take into consideration the level of support that she had coming in. This is an individual that was, that was used to bypass what some would say the democratic process is. There was no primary. Yes, Joe Biden was awful during that debate. that June 27th. Yes, he ultimately stepped away in July. But if you talk to many people within the Democratic Party, they were talking about how this was all part of the plan, because had he departed significantly earlier, when we all saw slippage in him, as far as I was on a record a year earlier seeing the slippage. Had he departed, there would have been a Democratic primary. She would have had to compete to be the Democratic nominee. And there were people who did not want her to do that because clearly they didn't believe. Whether it was Gavin Newsom, whether it was Barack Obama or somebody else. And it seems like she knew it. And that was the kind of feedback she received. And to talk about all of that now, post-election loss, nobody wants to hear that. That's crying, that's whistling into the wind.
I got to say.
It was all part of the plan. Kamala Harris says she couldn't pick Pete Buttigieg as her running mate because he's gay and there was only 107 days. Maddow, to say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
It's hard to hear. I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear. Yeah. With you running as, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for president of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump, who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for president of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk. No matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but we had such a short period of time. Wow. And the stakes were so high. I think Pete is a phenomenal public servant. And I think America is and would be ready for that. But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks to go, and maybe I was being too cautious, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that.
The biggest LGBTQ ally just told Rachel Maddow that she couldn't pick Pete Buttigieg because he was gay. It would be too risky. Oh, Rachel Maddow, brokenhearted. And she's going to be brokenhearted when she sees the book sales, too. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. You guys remember when she mocked Christians at her rally? When someone shouted Jesus is Lord and she sneered back? They were at the wrong rally. Now she's on daytime TV serving up word salad while Trump delivers historic speeches. She calls him a communist dictator while her own favorability crashes through the floor. CNN's Henry Enton couldn't sugarcoat it. She's not liked. She's not well liked at all. The American people don't want this, yet she demands her voice be present when history is written. So here's a reality check. History already wrote her story. She lost decisively. While Trump ends wars and confronts global corruption, Kamala clings to book tours and bitter delusions, and the contrast couldn't be clearer. Trump acts, Kamala whines. America chose strength over weakness. So here's a question. Do you think that Kamala will ever accept that she lost fair and square? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. And represent your values with gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Thank you, Macon Blankenship, for the 20. Can't afford more end of the month, and I'm so proud of the works Next News does. Thank you. And Irving, back $25. Thank you, sir. Someone turned off them escalator right on time, trying to embarrass him, yet he and his wife proved he can walk up the stairs. Well said, Irvin. And welcome, Megan, to the membership level. I did think about that. I thought maybe somebody turned off the escalator on purpose. And, I also thought, man, that would have been horrible. Like, he would have been like a sitting duck there, if somebody wanted to attack him. So 4 stories, 4 victories, 4 signs that the tide has turned in America's favor. And remember that event I told you about at the beginning of the show? Well, guess what? I got a message. They found the location. So I'm going to be heading over there shortly to do my work outside of the show. But we have to recap first what happened today. Google, the tech behemoth that controlled information flow for a decade, admitted in writing that they censored Americans at Biden's command. They called it unacceptable and wrong. They're rolling back bans. The voices they silenced are coming back. Jim Jordan and House Republicans forced this confession through relentless investigation. The censorship wall didn't just crack, it crumbled. President Trump signing that executive order that we've been waiting for, Antifa, officially a domestic terror organization. Federal agencies mobilizing with RICO statutes locked and loaded, and we've got the money trail, $80 million from Soros Open Society flowing through fiscal sponsors into terror training camps. Stephen Miller promising focused anger and righteous justice. The shadow funding network is exposed, documented, and about to face the full force of federal law. At the United Nations, Trump delivered a masterclass in American leadership. When their escalator stopped and the teleprompter died, he didn't need their broken machines. He torched their climate cult, calling renewables a joke. He exposed Europe's migration disaster, prisons at 72%, foreign nationals, while leaders high beyond political correctness. He accused the UN of funding invasions instead of stopping them. The globalists squirmed as Trump spoke truths that they've desperately tried to suppress. And Kamala? She reminded everyone why she lost in a historic landslide. Robbie dropping 10. Great job as always, friend. God bless you. $9.99. Thank you so much. Kamala reminded everyone why she lost in a historic landslide, claiming the race was close when she got crushed 312 to 226. Calling Trump a communist dictator while serving incomprehensible word salad on The View. Her favorability plummeting so fast, even CNN can't spin it. While Trump commands the world stage, she clings to book tours and bitter delusions. This is what winning looks like, folks. The establishment media complex exposed, terror networks under federal investigation, globalist institutions humiliated, and the failed opposition reduced to delusional rambling. So to everyone who sent in super chats today, thank you for making this show what it is. Your voices, your reactions, your support keeps us on the air, bringing you unfiltered truth. Keep telling your friends about the raw feed. Share this episode. Share the segments when they are published. The censors don't want this information spreading, which is exactly why we need you to be the distribution network. You can also hit our merch shop and support us there. Wear your beliefs proudly. We got some great designs you might like. So today it proves something crucial. When we fight, we win. When we expose their lies, they confess. When we demand justice, even the biggest corporations and most entrenched networks have to bend. This is Gary Friendship for the Raw Feed. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for standing with us. We'll see you next time as we continue exposing the truth and demanding accountability. So stay strong, Patriots, and we'll see you then.